All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Let's Brew here on the Duelcaster Mage YouTube channel. This time we have another War of the Spark card. Very exciting. There's a cycle of gods that came over from Amonkhet, I guess, or something. I'm not really much up on the lore yet, but this is the only one. I don't know where this Raze-Boar thing comes from. I know there was a Hazaret, and like all the other gods are like old Amonkhet gods, like Kefnet and stuff like that. But I'll leave that to the other magic nerds to to figure out. Hey, Charged Particle Gun, how you doing? Glad to have you. But this one caught my eye just because it's like really exactly everything I want to do in Commander. I think it really encapsulates like why I like this format, because it's a powerful card that you can build your deck around, and it's always in the command zone, so you can have all these sweet, expensive, monsters to come into play for free, and you can build your deck knowing that you can have that outlet pretty much guaranteed. Obviously, they can remove it and whatever, but we're gonna talk about ways to protect Ilharg, give it haste, all that stuff. But let's talk about this card first. Let's go through it stat by stat. So it's 3 red for a 6/6 Boar God, trample. And when it attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and you return that card to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. And when the Raze-Boar dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into its owner's library, third from top. So kind of a way to get around the commander tax there if it dies, which is really cool. So there's a lot going on with this card. And obviously the big thing is the ability to put a creature card tapped and attacking. I mean, that's an insane ability. By this point in Magic's history, there have been so many expensive creatures that either have amazing enter the battle effects or double strike or hit really hard, triggers on combat damage to the opponent, all that good stuff. But it's also a 6/6 trample for 5. I mean, that's pretty far above the curve, even for today's standards. And then on top of that, you have the fact that it doesn't die very easily. Like, I would almost always choose to put this card into my library unless my opponent had a way to like shuffle my library or something like that. Hey, Aus, how's it going? Glad to have you. Aus says, Eldrazi Titans seem like an obvious choice. Yes or no? It may be less obvious than you'd think, because the big thing with the Titans is they have Annihilator, right? Like the original ones, which triggers on attacking, being declared as an attacker, which does not work with Ilharg's ability. So, yeah, they're huge, they're expensive, but you're not going to get that Annihilator trigger. There's a lot of good creatures that have triggers, especially in red, on attacks when it is declared as an attacker. And unfortunately, Ilharg doesn't really synergize super well with that. And then a lot of the Eldrazi Titans have a cast trigger as well. So like Kozilek, the original Kozilek, when it enters the battle, or so when you cast it, you draw 4 cards, which is amazing. But again, you're not getting the extra value of that when you're using Ilharg's ability with it, unfortunately. So they still might squeak in, but they're not quite as much of a shoo-in as you might think. Hi, Snea. Glad you could make it too. My list is not complete. He asked if a Thought-Knot Seer made it into my list. Thought-Knot Seer, again, it's a mid-sized Eldrazi, but it has that darn cast trigger, right? So it takes a card here. Let's take a look at it. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but when Thought-Knot Seer, I don't know if you probably can't see that. Oops. Yeah, oh no, this isn't a cast. Why is this one? You're right. Sorry, my bad. Okay, this should probably be in the deck then. That's great. I mean, yeah, it's gonna constantly. It might be constantly entering and leaving the battlefield. So you get to take their best card and give them a random card. That's still probably good enough. But so the way I'm kind of hoping to structure this, like my other ones, is We're going to have about 45 minutes for suggestions, and that's where you guys come in. I'm going to be asking you what you guys think are good additions here, so we can kind of build this collaboratively. And then after that, we'll spend about 20 minutes making cuts. It's the hard part, but I'm actually flying solo here today, so it should be a lot easier. It's a lot more contentious when I have a buddy on stream with me, and which is awesome in its so many ways. But like it's hard. It's even harder to make cuts. But that should be a little smoother today. And then about 5 minutes for the mana base, and then we'll call it a day. I'll put the list on tapped out, and you guys can use it as a template for your own lists or whatever. Just run it as it stands. What else was I going to say before we start? That's basically it. I have an initial set of cards here. I only spent about maybe like a half an hour looking at some cards that are really obviously good with Ilharg, like creatures that have. I did a Scryfall search for like creatures that have entered the battlefield effects, and that's basically as far as I got. So maybe you guys can help me out with that too a little bit. But that list of those initial cards is in the video description, and I put it on tapped out this time. Before I was using a Google sheet, but I figured I'd just put it on tapped out, and we'll use that. So also says combat effects extra combat effects have great synergy. Yeah, totally agree with that too. I didn't look at that yet though, so maybe you can help suggest a few of those. Volkatech, Sundial of the Infinite. Oh, what does that do? You get to keep the creature in play that you put into play with Ilharg. That's cool. That's clever. Okay, just one last thing here before we get started here. I wanted to make a special announcement. My lovely wife Linda and I are starting another stream. This one is pretty much a totally different stream, but it's an arena stream on Twitch. So Magic Arena, we're doing mostly draft, but we're kind of trying to do something a little bit special, like a husband and wife duo sort of thing. So we're hoping that you guys can help us get started off the ground and go over and follow us on Twitch. And I'm going to bring her in here to say hi. So,
hi.
So this is Linda, and she's been loving Arena lately, right?
Yeah. Tyler's been teaching. He's a very good teacher, and he's been teaching me Magic for the last few years.
You can see their chat there.
For the last few years. Hi. There we go. And yeah, he's been loving. I just want to thank all of you because he loves and looks forward to this every week, and he loves it so much that he wants to do it more. So we thought it would be really fun how he's been doing the streams with other people before. It's really fun to have the back and forth. So we're gonna try some other formats together. Hi guys.
And so if you guys want to help us out, the link to our Twitch channel is in the video description. Just go ahead and click that follow button, and our goal is 50 followers to start out. That's our initial goal, because then we get affiliate. And so we're trying to parlay some of the streaming things I picked up doing this YouTube stream and hit the ground running, right?
So you can play more Magic. Why fight it?
Yeah. These are our Prague buddies.
Oh, Prague buddies. We'll see you soon.
Hopefully, yeah. All right. Anything else to say about that?
No, I'll leave you to it.
Okay. Thanks, Linda.
Bye, guys. Have fun.
All right. We have a Twitter, too. She's been... I'm terrible at Twitter, but she's been tweeting up a storm and trying to, make those connections so we can get somewhat of a following. All right, let's go and start adding cards. I'm going to start the timer here in the upper right. I have a timer for suggestions, so we're going to click that start button. And right off the bat, I was talking about Combat Celebrant Relentless Assault, Seize the Day, World at War, Fury of the Horde, Scourge of the Throne. Wow, what quite a comprehensive list here. Let's start adding those to our deck editor. I don't think I have any of those in the list yet. Man, once again, the initial list is on tapped out. So if you see anything there, you don't have to necessarily say it again. Sorry. Okay, Relentless Assault, the OG, and Seize the Day. Oh, I like Seize the Day. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite ones. It's a little bit awkward because it doesn't. Oh, why does this do that? Okay, I'm trying to minimize my window here so I can see X-Mage full screen again. Crap. Seize the Day untaps one creature. Come on. Why are you doing this? Okay, I think I got it. Maybe. Okay. Seize the Day, untaps target creature, and then you get another combat phase. So you're not going to be able to attack with the creature that was put into play tapped and attacking. But it's still worthy of consideration. Yeah, so Christopher has a good point. You can't exert Combat Celebrant with the board. Here's Combat Celebrant. It's, again, one of these on attackers triggers. So when it's put into play just tapped and attacking, you don't get to make full use of that. So it still could be okay, but you just have to like kind of have it in play ahead of time. Sorry, I need to get my windows sticky. Okay, there we go. All right, and then we have World at War. And Fury of the Horde. That's the one that you can discard or exile 2 cards, I think. That's a really cool one. And then Scourge of the Throne. I wish one of these was like an enter the battlefield effect instead of a trigger effect, but what are you gonna do? Okay, so I didn't really talk about the direction of the deck yet, but I think it's pretty obvious what you want to be doing with Ilharg. I mean, you're going to want to be cheating giant creatures into play for free, and I think you want to be just like ending it as soon as possible. I don't think there's really a way around that. I mean, there's the question to me in my mind is like, how many cheap creatures do we want to play versus like Anger of the Gods type effects? You know, that's kind of a toss-up. Do we want to play those Eldrazi and the attack trigger things, or just enter the battlefield? Oh yeah, Velkotech is very very adamant about Sundial of the Infinite. Hey, I love it. Let's get it in there. So obviously we talked about enter the battlefield effects. There's also leave the battlefield effects and like saboteur effects, right? So when it deals combat damage to a player, which I don't think very many exist in red. Christopher, Combustible Gearhulk is already in the list. Thanks for the suggestion. That's a good one. So keep coming, guys. We also there's another thing too. Just keep this in mind. The last ability on Ilharg, where if it dies, which it's going to die, obviously, this is Duel Commander. So is there a way to accelerate drawing it back to your deck again? And, you know, cards like Sensei's Divining Top would be great. That card's banned, but like self-mill, like X number of cards, or like I have Scroll Rack in the list because you can, you know, get it, like pay X equals, or put 3 cards down, draw Ilharg again, and get it right back into play. All right, great. We have some more awesome suggestions here. Snea suggests Spawn of Thraxes. I don't think I have that one yet. Ooh, I like that. So this one, when it enters the battlefield, deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of mountains you control, which you should have probably at least 5 or 6 by that time. All right. Fanatic of Mogis. I actually have that one in the list. Thank you. Good choice. Bogarden Rager. Hey, El Jot, or EL Jot, welcome to the stream. Bogarden Rager, 3/4 flash for 6, and it comes into play against target creature +4/+0. Kind of cool with the trample. Farragax Giant. Wow, we're getting some Theros action here. Tribute 2. If tribute wasn't paid, it deals 5 damage to the opponent. I think they're going to probably pay tribute most of the time. I guess they're going to take 5 either way, right? And Angrath's Marauders. Ooh, that's a great one. In the sense that when I did a Scryfall search, I just looked at enter the battlefield effects. But this is like a static ability. If a source you control would deal damage to a permanent player, it deals double that damage to the permanent player instead. That's pretty awesome. That's probably enough to kill them. What else we have? Hellkite Charger, Aggravated Assault. Thanks, Charged Particle. Boom, boom, boom. It's for some more extra combats. Aggravated Assault. This card is great in the my original Neheb build. I have the extra combats are really awesome with that too. So Aggravated Assault. I don't know if you guys know what these cards are, if I need to explain, but this is a pretty busted card with like infinite mana. Sarkhan Fireblood. That's a really interesting suggestion because one of the things I was going to mention is that we could take this deck in the direction of going just dragon tribal, because a lot of the good enter the battlefield cards are dragons, so we could build our deck in that way. So I guess maybe you guys can give me your thoughts on that. Tybalt. I'm going to assume that's sarcastic, but I gotta love Tybalt. His new card is pretty cool. Breaker of Armies, says Christopher. Ooh. Wow, that's a great suggestion. So this one says all creatures able to block Breaker of Armies do so, and it's 10 mana for a 10/8. So you can just kind of wipe their board. I'm in. Oh, you guys can see that. There's all these cool cards that like don't really have that perfect home, and maybe Ilharg is the place. Fling. Thanks, Vocatech. Oop, did I just type your name there? I'm losing it. Fling, not Flig. Fling and like even Thud, I guess. Thud's even cheaper. Yeah, that's another thing we could do. It's good with sneak attack too. Let me add Thud. What are some like double strike creatures? The one creature, honestly, like the first thing I thought of when I saw Ilharg was this Dragon Tyrant. So I don't know if you guys know this card, but it's pretty busted with the original. I think some of the original sneak attack builds, but it's like a 6/6 flying trample double strike, and you can pay red to give it +1/+0, so it has fire breathing. So this is a pretty easy like turn 6 or whatever kill. Christopher also suggests the new Neheb. Yeah, that's a really good one. I can't put it in here on X-Mage yet because it's not in the deck editor, but I'll keep that in mind. Let's see, Aus. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, Aus, but Avatar of Slaughter. All creatures have double strike and attack each turn if able. Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, so cards like this are really great because they have kind of a drawback, but if it's bounced back to your hand, like your opponent can't even make use of it. So rhymes with sauce. Os. Okay, I think I got it. All right, Sneha suggests Bane of Balagad. Let's take a look at that. So we're coming out of the woodwork here because I don't even remember a lot of these cards. Whenever attacks, defending player exiles 2 permanents. Again, we have that has an attack trigger, so it's kind of like, oh man, these cards kind of piss me off because it's another example of no, that's not exactly correct. I was going to say it was just like Annihilator without the keyword, but that's not exactly correct because it is exile. All right, Urabrask the Hidden. I like Urabrask the Hidden. The one thing I don't like about it is that it competes with Ilharg on the curve, which is unfortunate. But he brings up a good point about ways to give Ilharg haste. So you guys, if you know any off the top of your head, really good ways to give stuff haste. We have, I know I already added a few here. So starting from the cheapest to the most expensive, Need for Speed. 1-mana enchantment, you can sack a land to give a creature haste. That might go in because haste is just that good and on Ilharg. Yeah, the attack trigger won't work, Snea. So we also have some creatures that can give haste: Bloodlust Inciter and Goblin Motivator, two recent printings that I think might make the cut. Although they do die to, like, if we want to play Pyroclasm effects, and then Mass Hysteria, which is symmetrical, pretty risky. But those are the like 4 that I kind of thought of for the 1-drops. Neheb the Eternal, says Christopher. Is that a comma in there? Looks probably. Okay. So that's kind of cool. That adds mana. So you can actually, yeah, this might be a good one because you could even cast a really expensive creature in your post-combat because you basically you're attacking with Ilharg. I gotta remember these names still. You're attacking with Ilharg, and then let's say it's turn 6. You have you're dealing 10 damage plus getting another mana from your lands. That's pretty sick. Christopher suggests Sandstone Oracle. Yep, that's a good one. I already have that one in. So that one lets you draw cards equal to the number of draw up to your opponent's cards. Demanding Dragon and Duplicant are both in. Blightsteel Colossus. Oh wow, how did I not think of that? That's great. Good suggestion, Snea. A little bit of a liability if you can never attack with if you never attack with Ilharg. The one thing I don't love about this is that if they even if they have a 2-power creature, they can kind of soak up 9 of the infect, 9 of the poison damage, and then they're if you can't attack with Colossus again, then they're basically have taken no damage from it. Celestial Morning Light, hey, good to see you here. We already have Bogarden Hellkite in. Yes, that was we didn't talk about it, but it was in my initial list. Varchild's Betrayer of Kajeldor. Let's see what this one is. When it attacks, whenever deals combat damage, they create 1/1 survivor tokens. Oh, you can just give them survivors and then scoop them back up when it leaves play. That's kind of cool. What else do we got here? Combustible Gearhulk was already mentioned, and it's already in the list. Charge Particle, but thanks. Itali Primal Storm, another one of those attack triggers, but it is a great card. And then we could play Darksteel Colossus, Snea. That's probably maybe, I don't know, maybe it's better than Blightsteel. I mean, it really depends if they have a blocker or not. But basically Blightsteel without the infect. Yep, so Celestial Morning Light is asking about Defense Grid. Yep, Defense Grid's already in there. This is probably about the perfect Defense Grid deck because I don't think we have any instants, and getting Ilharg countered would be bad news bears. Especially because Ilharg's last ability doesn't help when it's getting countered at all. So any other ways to get around counter spells would be very welcome. Even one of the classics is Expedition Map for Cavern of Souls, which I think is probably worth it. Especially because Expedition Map can grab, Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, or even Valakut or something like that. It's pretty effective. The Zealous Conscripts, yeah, that can take creatures or it can take blockers or planeswalkers, although you can't attack with a creature that you steal, unfortunately. Yep, we got a great suggestion with Sundering Titan. Thanks, Charged Particle Gun. That one's already in the list, and probably one of the best things you can do, honestly. Dolmen Gate. If you want to be extra certain that Ilharg can stick around, this one says prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to attacking creatures you control. Well, I hope our creatures are big enough to survive anyway, but you never know. So we got a good start on the high end. The thing we got to keep in mind too is like in games where Ilharg is dealt with, we're not going to be, these could be stranded in our hand fairly easily. So that's kind of we want to have a mix, I guess, is what I want to say. Is there enough dragon tribal synergy to just go ham on the dragons? I don't know. Seems like maybe not quite enough. Curse of Opulence. That card wrecks in any of the Akiri decks. Duelcaster Mage. What kind of nonsense is that? Wait, what am I typing Akiri for? Whenever enchanted player is attacked, I think they just get the one trigger off that. And probably not going to be attacking till like turn 5. Strionic Resonator. We're going deep, ladies and gentlemen. I can't spell Strionic apparently. Strionic Res. Copy a triggered ability. Yeah. If you got the nut hand. I believe me, I am Duelcaster Mage, the card's #1 fan as well. I think that card is awesome. However, it's an enter the battlefield. It's an enter the battlefield effect, but it's unless your opponent has a spell on an empty stack, which is impossible, you're not going to get that free value. I mean, you can do stuff with it outside of Ilharg if you want to. Okay, so got a good start on the creatures. What about ramp? I put a few ramp cards in already. One of my favorite cards in this deck is Generator Servant. I think this card is like perfect because it comes out on turn 2. It curves perfectly into Ilharg, so on turn 3 you play your 3rd land, tap this, get your 5th mana, and then you give a creature haste. So this is kind of probably my favorite synergy ramp card to go along with Ilharg, and you can potentially get a turn 3 kill if you like put Dragon Tyrant into play or something like that, or Darksteel Colossus. All right, Celestial Morning Light just unloaded a ton of suggestions here. Thank you. Dragon Tyrant. Yes, that's in the list already. Burning Sun's Avatar's in the list. Generator Servant, yes. Mirror Battlesphere, yes. Scourge of the Throne, yep. Tyrant of Discord is in the list, yep. Wormcoil Engine, yes. Abrade, yes. Blazing Stroll I do not have. That's an interesting one. I think the trap we want to kind of avoid is, going to Magical Christmas Land here, like cards that are only good if we're like attacking with Ilharg and winning. And I feel like Blazing Shoal might kind of fall into that category. Chaos Warp. I actually kind of like Chaos Warp. Do I have that in there here yet? I do not. In mono red, you don't really have a ton of ways to deal with permanents. Sorry, non-creature permanents. Pyrokinesis and Through the Beach are both in. Let me resort this. The other way to deal with a permanent that might actually be pretty good is Meteor Golem. So this is not very powerful in terms of power and toughness, but you can destroy an online permanent, which is, a way to get around enchantments or something like that. Yes, Charged Particle Gun Blood Moon is already in the deck. The other way I have to deal with enchantments is, or, you know, planeswalkers or any of that nonsense, is Steel Hellkite, which is nice because you can just, you know, get it into play for free and then blow up. It's kind of like engineered explosives, a one-sided engineered explosives, which is kind of cool. Orcish Lumberjack. Doesn't that one require forests? Or am I crazy? Christopher. Yeah, you need to sacrifice a forest. Yeah, okay. Oh, but I like the idea. So other sort of ramp. Volkatech says, yeah, Blazing Shoal is not exactly what you want to do. I mean, it makes sense in the sense that you might have a lot of expensive cards in the deck, but you should be able to, like, I think ideally you want one of these creatures like Dragon Tyrant, Darksteel Colossus to just win on its own without resorting to Blazing Shoal, because it's really quite a lot of card disadvantage too. Where was I going with this? Okay, other ramp. There's a couple sources of ramp. There's like the one-shot stuff like Generator Servant and where is it? Seething Song. I think a Seething Song is another really awesome card. And it's less of a liability, I think, here, because if you can resolve Ilharg, even if if you go Seething Song Ilharg on turn 3, let's say, and they kill it, you put it into your library third from top, and then by the time you draw it, you should be able to have your 5th mana. Chalice of the Void. That's interesting. So what are we doing? Chalice for 1? Since we're such an expensive deck. Chalice is actually really interesting with all the proliferate crap that is coming out in War of the Spark too. So, all right, we'll put Chalice of the Void in there. Christopher says Through the Breach. Yep, that one's in there. I really like these cards that, like Through the Breach, that reward you for playing a bunch of cards that may be a little bit riskier to play, but they synergize with your commander anyway, like the Dragon Tyrant or Darksteel Colossus, Blightsteel Colossus. You can get some value off of those. You can keep spamming suggestions. That's what we're here for. We're gonna try to make the best deck possible. This is a collaborative deck building. Is the name of the game. One interesting category of cards too is cards that have, like, I know this is a really narrow subset, but like cards that have like really expensive Echo or something like that, or Echo period. So like Volcano Hellion crossed my eye when I was looking at cards with ETB effects, and it lets you like snipe a creature, but then it has Echo X, where X is your life total. Obviously, most of the time you're gonna have to just sacrifice it, but if you bounce it back to your hand, you don't have to deal with that drawback. Same thing with one I really like is Crater Hellion. So this one is really sweet. So it basically deals 4 damage to each other creature when it comes into play, but it has Echo, which you won't have to pay. It's a way to keep continuously wiping the board of small things, like play, accelerate, ramp out Ilharg, play Crater Hellion, wipe their board, deal them like 12 damage. Pretty cool. Inner Fire. I'm going to get to your list there, Celestial. I'm just going to do Inner Fire real quick. So, Inner Fire. I don't mind rituals in this deck, but the one thing I don't love about this is that it costs 4, so you're really not getting much acceleration. And I don't think we're going to have a lot of extra card draw, so I'm probably leaning maybe against that. Okay, Chandra Torch of Defiance in. Coth of the Hammer is already in the list. Cave In. All right, Cave In is an interesting one. I rediscovered this card like recently. I don't know why no one seems to run it, but it seems really sweet. You can remove a red card in your hand instead of paying its cost, and it deals 2 damage to each creature and player, so it's like a free Pyroclasm. Fear of the Horde is already in. Fire Diamond, yep. Fractured Power Stone, no. So I don't know how deep you want to go on the mana rocks. All right, Mind Stone's definitely a good one. Mox Diamond is banned in Duel Commander. Power Stone Shard. and Prismatic Lens to kind of add colorless. A little bit of a liability. I like Pristine Talisman as a rock. I kind of like Unstable Obelisk and Worn Power Stone. I definitely like. I don't mind the 3-drop ones in this list actually. Let me add Unstable Obelisk because they curve into Ilharg nicely. Charged Particle says Flametongue Kavu, Avalanche Riders. Those are both in. Hammer of Perforos, Sneak Attack, Galvanic Blast, Shrapnel Blast. Okay, I have Hammer of Perforos and Sneak Attack. I do not have Galvanic Blast and Shrapnel Blast. I guess it depends how many artifacts we want to. We could turn this into like an artifact sort of build where like Volkatech suggested Duretti could be good. I guess that's on the table. I do like cheap interaction, like Galvanic Blast. Shrapnel Blast, I don't know because you're not sacrificing an artifact is a real cost in a deck like this. It's not like you're getting free treasure tokens off your Curse of Opulence necessarily. Felden to the third path. All right. I love Felden. That's another great one in terms of like paying you off for having these expensive creatures anyway. Burning of Genie and Wildfire. Yeah, I love the Wildfire effects in here, especially because Ilharg is comes down before them on curve and survives the damage. So I think this could easily be a Wildfire deck. Let's find an art I like. Goblin Welder. Okay. Let's get Burning of Genie in there first. Yeah, so that's a really interesting question. I mean, kind of vote your opinion in the chat whether we want to turn this into an artifact theme deck or not. I think it could be built that way. I feel like maybe you just want Duretti at that point in the command zone. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, a lot of the good expensive artifact creatures are sweet. Any way to play them anyway, like Sundering Titan, maybe these Colossi. Hey, Pseudoception, how you doing? Glad to have you back. And we have Keldon Firebombers. I actually did put that one in the list. I think that card is pretty sweet as like a pseudo wildfire sort of thing. Not quite as backbreaking necessarily, but you get to put it into play for free with... Where is it? There it is. You get to put it into play for free with Ilharg. And then Kuldotha Forge Master, maybe, if we're going artifacts. All right. Let's get Kuldotha Forge Master in there. Probably all know what that does. Pyretic Ritual, Meosion of Infinite Rage, Flame Rush Rider, Combat Celebrant, Henwer Garrison. Snare, you really love these attack triggers, don't you? Let's see here. What this one does this get the divinity counter? No. Yeah, so I don't know about this one because you need to cast it from your hand to get the divinity counter. So we already have Combat Celebrant. Let's look at Flame Rush Rider. Another attack trigger. I'll put it in there. All right, and Henry Garrison is also an attack trigger. So I think if you're going to go like Henry Garrison, it's a good card, but I would rather play like Pia Nalar or Kia and Pia Nalar, Pia and Kira. These like put tokens into play just for entering the battlefield. They don't have to attack, so it's a little bit of better value, I think. All right, Volkatech's on a roll here with the artifact theme. Volkatech, by the way, if you guys aren't familiar, if you're not aware, is with my buddy who co-hosted last week, Tuk, but he has a different name on YouTube. So, ooh, Trash for Treasure. All right. Yeah, I kind of agree. Celestial Morning Light says mana rocks make you faster. You can eventually cast your big dudes, and rituals are bad because they can only power out Ilharg. I tend to agree. I think really the only exception to that is probably Seething Song, just because it curves so perfectly into Ilharg. I think I'm almost definitely going to want to play this one. All right, Scrap Mastery. I think all the rocks you're going to want to play. You don't want to play rocks that are cost 3 or less, so you can curve into Ilharg as well. Otherwise, Thran Dynamo would be cool, you know, stuff like that. But I think okay, let's look at some of the other rocks I already have in here. Coalition Relic is a nice one. You can actually ramp from 3 to 6 with this, assuming you hit your land drop. So it kind of covers you in case you don't hit your like 4th land drop, I guess. Commander Sphere, just get some free value to draw a card after it, you know, no longer have a use for it. Hazaret's Monument, maybe. Pristine Talisman gains you some life. And Worn Power Stone I like a lot, because you can do your 6 drops. Then we have Unstable Obelisk. For 2s, we have Mind Stone is a really great one. Fire Diamond, Felwar Stone. Which I actually kind of like Felwar Stone. Even in a monocolor deck, I kind of like Felwar Stone over like Pristine Talisman and the colorless ones, just because there's a good chance your opponent's playing red. That's pretty much it. Okay. Jeweled Amulet and Correct Clan Ironworks. I don't have a... yeah, I do like Jeweled Amulet. I really like Jeweled Amulet in... like in a non-green deck where your commander costs like exactly 3, which is like very narrow, but it is some ramp. You can ramp out your other 3-drop ramp, your rocks. Correct Clan Ironworks. I wish I could put like a poll in YouTube for whether we want to go, because this is a pretty extreme direction to go, I think, with the deck, because with the Scrap Mastery, KCI, Trash for Treasure, Goblin Welder, Duretti. I actually don't think I added Duretti. Yeah. So if you feel strongly about that, let me know, because I think I would... if it was just me, I probably would try to build more of a conventional, just like straight ramp. But there's a lot of synergy with these artifact cards, I would say. All right, let's give this a save so we don't lose our progress here. You guys can see that. All right. Oh, yeah. Pseudoception, Crater Hellion, that's an awesome one. I do have it in there already. I think it's probably going to be a shoe-in, I think, in this deck. Oblivion Stone. Yeah, O-Stone's nice. It does, you know, if we're playing a lot of mana rocks, it kind of wipes those too, unfortunately, but it is a way to deal with... another way to deal with enchantments if those are a problem. What else did I want to discuss here? Do we have any other ways to abuse getting Ilharg back? I don't know if this is important or not. Maybe it's not even that important, but like, so example, cards like Scroll Rack, if Ilharg dies, you can just put him 3rd from top and then get it back more quickly with Scroll Rack. I don't know if it's worth running a ton of cards like that, but I think Scroll Rack, especially with shuffle effects, is pretty strong on its own. Yeah, I kind of tend to agree, Celestial Morning Light. Going full artifact, why don't you just play Duretti in the command zone at that point? Yeah. All right. So what haven't I really discussed here? The other thing we can maybe do is like land destruction. I mean, we talked about Wildfire, but like some of this onesie twosie stuff like Avalanche Riders. Do you guys think Avalanche Riders is a good direction to go with this deck? There's also like Ravenous Baboons. A lot of good 5-drop ones. Invader Parasite. We already talked about Keldon Firebombers. Ogre Arsonist. I don't know if it's going to be fast enough to really make too much of an impact. I think maybe we could do one of those cards, just kind of like a Misers. You know, maybe something to get something to get off Gamble in case they have like a Mazavith, like Gamble for Avalanche Riders and put it into play off Ilharg or something like that. but probably not too much. All right, we're getting down to the last 10 minutes here on the suggestions. What about Double Strike? Any good like Double Strike cards besides Dragon Tyrant that you guys know of? Because Double Strike's another good way to capitalize on the Ilharg's ability. Yeah, I think Ponza might work. I mean, it's not like you're not going to be playing Stone Rain, obviously, but you could play the creatures that come into play and destroy land. So Charged Particle Gun says in the Philippines, LD took a backseat since Titania is running rampant. Yeah, Titania, Gitrog, and now Lord Windgrace are like 3 pretty strong decks that don't mind getting their lands blown up. Yeah, tend to agree. Vocatex's Rod is better for targeted land destruction. Yep. I think still it might be okay to have like 1 Miser's targeted land destruction just to deal with like really problematic lands like Maze of Ith and stuff. Fury of the Horde is in Celestial Morning Light. Yes, that we're considering it. We don't know if it's going to make the finalist, but it's in my this considerations list. We already have 193 cards. Oh boy. So, really good start here. Reality Smasher. That hits hard. I don't love that it competes on the curve with Ilharg. It's just a good beater. Nothing wrong with that. One thing that's kind of cool. I have this in my Feldon deck too, or I did for a while. Like with all the dragons, Sarkhan's Triumph, instant speed, search your library for a dragon, put it into your hand. So like, just get that Dragon Tyrant or get that Bogarden Halkite or whatever you need to like either end the game or stabilize. EL Jot, yes, Blood Moon is in the deck already. Treasure Map. Yeah, so there's a couple cards that I kind of like in Big Red specifically. I built a few Big Red decks before. Like I built Atali when it came out, and then I built Achroma, the red Achroma. And there's a few really effective cards that are like maybe people don't think of all the time. Trinisphere is a cool one. Trinisphere could be really nice. One of them is like just Coercive Portal. What else? What was I trying to think of? Some of the card draw, because you kind of want to draw some amount of cards. Wait. Endless Atlas, that was the one I was thinking of. Warping Whale. Yes, we do have Magus of the Moon, although I think we're going to be running a lot of Pyroclasm effects, so I don't know if we want to run Magus of the Moon. Warping Whale is really sweet and unexpected. So this one, encounter a sorcery spell somehow randomly. You can make an Eldrazi Scion. I like the making the Eldrazi Scion. That can ramp out. This might be the perfect Warping Whale deck, actually. Or you can exile target creature with power toughness 1 or less. Yeah, so Celestial said red Elemental Blast or Pyroblast. I honestly wouldn't be opposed to like pre-sideboarding or metagaming against mono or against blue decks with those 2 cards. I guess it's kind of dependent on your meta. Maybe you could run one as like a Miser's. I guess if you're really worried about blue, you might even run Boil or something, but probably red Elemental Blast. It's fine too. All right. And a lot of the staples, you guys can, once again, you can check the tapped out list for some of the staples that I put in there at a time, like Lightning Bolt, obviously, a Braid, all that good stuff. All right. Looks like we're slowing down, so I think I might end this suggestions part early. We can, you guys can always add more stuff later as we think of it. I'm not going to go through every single card that I added ahead of time, but I had a lot more enter the battlefield effects that I don't think anyone really brought up again, like even just like stuff that makes other creatures, like Precursor Golem, Pia and Kira Nalar. One card that really is sweet, I think this is the perfect deck, along with like Neheb, the original Neheb, Bloodsworn Steward. This curves perfectly into Ilharg and gives it haste. And it's a 4/4 flying for 4 by itself. So I think that card is just gas, just like pure gas in this sort of deck. So I'm definitely gonna be running that. All right, let's wrap up the suggestions and move on to the cuts. So I'm gonna stop this timer and we're gonna go to cuts. And I'm gonna be a little aggressive here and say 20 minutes because this is not the funnest part of the process. But what I'm gonna do is just drag any cards over to the sideboard temporarily that we want to keep for sure. And the way I do this is I just for this portion I just take cards that I know like 100% of the time I want to play in this deck, like no question, easy include, and then it's a lot less difficult that way ultimately. And then we can go back here, delete all the other stuff that was left over, and have our final deck after we work on our mana base. So as far as 1-drops go, I definitely want Chain Lightning. And hopefully you guys can see as I'm going down the list here, cards that, you know, if you have a strong opinion on any of these, just let me know. I think I'm going to maybe not go on the hardcore artifact direction, like the Duretti, Scrap Mastery, all that stuff, just because I think it's too all-consuming, too deck warping. So we're gonna go like kind of traditional ramp and payoff. So, but I do like Expedition Map to grab, especially Cavern of Souls. Can be a huge problem. Flame Slash. I'm going for like cheap interactive burn that can mainly hit creatures, and that's very efficient, like either 2-for-1s or things like that. I think this could be a gamble deck. I think this is a gamble. I think you have to go. You have to take a few risks on that one. Lightning Bolt. I love Pithing Needle. I think that card is incredible in the metagame right now. So I'm gonna put that in. Scred. In a big red deck, Scred is incredible. Yeah, I guess I had Goblin Blast in there. Oops. Earlier. There aren't a ton of 1-drops I like for sure definitely want to play. Hey, Wim, how you doing? Glad to have you back. You could gamble into an Eldrazi. Funnily enough, I think, like, of all the Eldrazi we talked about, I think the one that I was most impressed with the synergy by is Breaker of Armies. Crazy as that sounds. Yeah. Great. Glad to hear it. So now let's look at 2-drops here. I'm going to try to shy away from playing a whole lot of creatures just because I think we want to play a lot of Pyroclasm type effects and Anger to the Gods. So I did have Aberative Crawl Keep here because it has entered the battlefield, but I don't think I want that. I do like a Braid. I like some of this 2-mana ramp, but I don't know if Cold Steel Heart's the one. Cursed Totem's interesting. I don't know if it's good enough in the meta game right now. It does shut off all mana dorks. We can come back to that. One of the 2-drops I think does deserve a slot is Direfleet Daredevil, because this card is pretty great. Yeah, exactly. No Cast or Annihilator triggers. Direfleet Daredevil has a great ETB, and you should have a lot of, like, if you're attacking with a Ilharg, like after, you know, the first turn, after the summoning sickness wears off, you should have an extra mana to cast the spell. So I like that. Okay, Tanglewire. Tanglewire, I don't know if this is a Tanglewire deck, honestly. Like, I do like the card. I had it in my list just as like a red staple in my template file. But I don't know. I don't know if this is Looks like a Chalice deck. Yeah, so right now, I tend to agree. Like, there aren't a ton of one mana spells that I'm like over the moon about playing. So maybe we should get that Chalice in there, huh? Let's get that Chalice in there. All right. So as far as 2 mana spells go, we're down to like Dragon's Claw. I actually put this in here because I love this against, you know, you're actually a little soft to like mono red, and the fact that you're a red, kind of big red deck, I think could be kind of cute. But I'm not. I think maybe I'll leave that for my own version because I don't nobody likes that. Ether Flash. Oh man, that's going deep. So, man, some of these rocks are just kind of all like sort of the same. Fling is really interesting. I'm not necessarily 100% to play it, but I might put it back in. Generator Servant, I like. I think Incinerate's quite strong, but not 100%. Lightning Greaves for sure. Mind Stone for sure. Pyroclasm. I really like Scroll Rock. I gotta remember that and maybe play some fetch lands. Yeah, so the rocks are really good. I really like the ones that come into play and can make mana right away, and it's not a, you know, the colorless ones aren't quite as much of a drawback in a monocolor deck. So maybe like, you know, prismatic lens or whatever is even better than like Fire Diamond. I really like Sorcerer's Spyglass and Pithing Needle in this deck because you're a little soft to planeswalkers, I think, without having a lot of early creatures that can attack. So I'm gonna put that one in. If you're highly disagreeing with me, you can let me know. Stink Scourger is interesting. It's one of the few ways you can bounce a creature in red, and it's cheap, so it could keep you alive. I've been really impressed with this card. Like when my opponents play it against me, this card always just seems like such a blowout. But I think I'm gonna wait because I'm not 100% on it. Cold Steel Heart. Does that combo with Scred? Oh yeah, it does. All right, you're right. Cold Steel Heart is definitely better than Fire Diamond when we have Scred in our deck. Good point. I never even thought about that. Do we want to play Swiftfoot Boots? This card is often not good enough in Duel Commander, but oh man, those abilities are pretty awesome. I mean, Lightning Greaves, it's like a worse Lightning Greaves, but is a worse Lightning Greaves good enough still? I don't know. I like Warping Whale. I think we're going to run a fair amount of colorless lands. I like Whip Flare. There's another Pyroclasm effect. Yeah, and I think we're gonna run like Thought Knot Seer and stuff like that. So I think probably, hey, Mr. Ray Rockstar, man, you guys are all about the Eldrazi with Ilharg. There are gonna be some Eldrazi. I can guarantee there'll be some Eldrazi to make the final list. Do we want to? So what are those other 2 mana rocks? We could play like Fel Warstone. I don't know. So yeah. So let's go on to 3 drops. I don't think Aggravated Assault's worth it. I think this will win more. Hope you guys can see this. This becomes a little difficult at some point. I like Anger the Gods. Actually, I'm gonna put these cards that I already in a different column here. Blood Moon, free win card. Yep, Warren Power Stone for sure. I'm not sold 100% on Chaos Warp. I really like Coalition Relic. I like Commander Sphere. I like Goblin Chain Whirler as a nice way to stabilize. Hey, Evison. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, all the mass removals that cost 3 or less are really, really good, especially in the metagame right now. I tend to totally agree with you. Hammer of Perforos is pretty good. Like, you know, it's a 3 mana artifact that just gives haste, but I think it's still worth it. It does have some extra value, but I'm not 100% on it, so I'm gonna keep it out there. Once again, I'm just putting cards that I'm like 100% to play here. Pristine Talisman. I think I'm 100% to play Sarkhan's Triumph. I think that card is just total gas. Seething Song. Oh, sorry. Stronic Resonator. Do you really need to like double up on it though? Like, shouldn't, I think if you're happy if you get like one, if you're attacking with Ilharg, I think you're happy. Just like getting one thing seems probably good enough. Slag Storm and Sweltering Suns, we talked about those. I don't think this is a sort of whatever deck. Yeah, so Hammer, you know, which of the three mana things that give haste are good enough? I really wish Rhythm of Wilds was mono red, because that card would be awesome. Like, giving your things uncounterable is like way better than just being able to make a golem. But I think Hammer of Purpose is probably the best one, and I don't know if you want to run multiple, because they do get terrible in multiples. No, you can keep suggesting stuff, Pseudoception, it's all good. We are on cuts. We are about halfway through our cutting process here. One card I did put in a list, and I think this might have been in Celestial Morning Light's list that I did take a look at beforehand, was the First Eruption, which is kind of a mix between Ramp and Pyroclasm. Ramp and Kill Everything. What do you guys think of this card? I think it could be cool. Like, this might be the perfect deck for it. I mean, you actually kind of can ramp to 6, so you might have an extra mana left over, but it does kind of multiple things that this deck wants to do. But I'm not 100% on it, so I'll just leave it out for now. I don't know about Trinisphere either. When we have, well, Trinisphere is pretty dang good. We only have like 21 cards. All right, let's put Trinisphere in. I haven't really played Trinisphere in Duel Commander like ever, so I think I kind of want to try that out. When you're talking about like 2 mana, like Fiery Cannonade, I don't know if you guys remember this card, but this is like a better Fiery Cannonade. Volcanic Fallout, can't really see it. Can't be countered, and it deals 2 to each creature and player. So this card against like certain decks, there's like a Najila deck running around in our league that plays Najila and counter spells, and Volcanic Fallout is probably the perfect card to deal with that sort of nonsense. There's Wheel of Fortune. If you want to really maximize your chances of hitting a sweet dragon. Not sure this is a wheel deck, though. All right, on 4 mana. I don't think we have enough ways to discard Anger. I do like Anger in my Feldon deck, because I have a ton of like Faithless Looting type effects, but I don't think this is the same exact sort of dynamic, because Feldon gets stuff out of the graveyard. Avalanche Riders I'm kind of on the fence about. I'm not gonna put it in there. I think I really love Bloodsworn Steward though. I don't know. Let me just make sure you guys can see this stuff that I'm putting in. So Bloodsworn Steward is awesome in this deck. Chandra is amazing. I do like Coercive Portal and Big Red. And we have a lot of 2 mana rocks to ramp it to it in turn 3. So personally I would play this card, but Burning Wish. Mr. Ray Rockstar says he runs Burning Wish to search for a specific card. Well, I don't think that works in Duel Commander, because we don't have sideboards. That would be really sweet though. Okay, Burning Wish for Fiery Confluence, Burning Wish for Wildfire. Oh man, that sounds great. Yeah, I normally would play Coercive Portal in a deck like this. I'm gonna wait though. I'm going to skip Duretti. I'm going to skip this. Definitely Fiery Confluence and Flametongue Kavu. I really like Pia and Kira Nalar. Yeah, how many of the big guys we want to play? I guess we could have started on the top of our curve and worked backwards. Like, I don't know, like, I haven't run the numbers. Like, I think you want exactly like 1 giant payoff creature in your hand when you're attacking with Ilharg. Which probably works out to maybe like 8 to 10, I would say, of the big, huge payoff creatures. In my opinion, they should still be castable for the most part. So, ooh, what about, we forgot to talk about the, what's the name of that card that exiles a land and then you double up the mana on that land? Oh, it's from Mirrodin. imprints a basic land. It could be a good one, depending on how many snow lands we want to run, or basic lands in general. Okay, we have Rowdy Crew. I like Ruination, so we could run a lot of basics. Extraplanar Lens, that's it. All right, Wim, do some math for us. Thank you. So I think there are quite a few payoffs for running a lot of basics. I forgot to add this Extraplanar Lens here. So this is one of the better ramp spells, I think. And I think between like Valakut, Extraplanar Lens, Ruination, I think there are a lot of valid reasons to run almost all basics. And even we could still play like Thought-Knot Seer off of our mana rocks and stuff. So I'm actually going to put Extraplanar Lens in, because I think it's really quite effective. Sneak Attack for sure. I do like Solemn Simulacrum in this deck, even though it doesn't curve into Ilharg perfectly. It does if you might, maybe sometimes you don't get your land that you need to play Ilharg on curve, and it has a nice ETB effect to pair with Ilharg. So I think I kind of like Solemn Simulacrum. And I like Thought-Knot Seer. Volcano Hellion might be a little bit too cute. It might be a little bit too unplayable without Ilharg, but I do think this card is playable in Duel Commander. Let's go to our 5-drops, and now we got to remember that these are competing with Ilharg at this point. So we don't want to have too many if they're not amazing. So Cave In. I'm really intrigued with Cave In. Yeah. Which art do you guys like better for Solemn Simulacrum? Do you like the new one or the old one? I'm kind of on the fence, because the old one's iconic. It's like the sad robot, but like the new one is really sweet too. I think most people like the new one better. Where's that guy? There he is. All right, 5-drops. Is this the time for Cave In to shine? Old. I like Demanding Dragon a lot. Okay. Celestial Morning Light likes the old art for Sad Robot. Emrakul's Hatcher is kind of an interesting one, but I don't really think we need to ramp quite like that. I like Goblin Dark Dwellers a lot. I normally like Glorybringer a ton, and maybe it's still worth running. Like it does have an attack trigger. Glorybringer's probably just too good not to run. I'm gonna put Glorybringer in there for now. Nahab is like borderline for me. Same with Precursor Golem. Precursor Golem is pretty awesome, but maybe you can just start winning instead of dinking around. I like Siege Gang Commander. I like Siege Gang Commander especially because if you attack with it, you can maybe even use the mana to like clear out blockers. Like if you play Ilharg on turn 4 or 5 and then attack with it, put Siege Gang into play and then start throwing goblins around. I like Through the Breach a lot. Got a sweet new art for that one too. Thundermaw Hellkite's a good dragon, and it still has some relevance even when it comes into play like off of Ilharg. So I don't know, like some of these cards are like halfway synergistic, like Zealous Conscripts, for example. I'm not 100% sold on it though. I'm going to come back to that. I don't want to load up too much on 5s. All right, Vocatech says on turn 4, 10 card season, we have a 75% probability of seeing one or more big guys if we play 12 in the deck. I think I would like 75% probability, so that means play 12. Okay. But like I'm honestly like I don't know like where you cut off of big guys. I'm pretty happy putting like Solemn Simulacrum into play off of Ilharg too. Like I'm not super sad about that. So, and that's definitely castable. But we'll consider big guys like anything like 6 or higher. How's that? All right. So speaking of 6, we got our 6 drops now. We got to hurry up. We only got a minute left. I like Burning Sun's Avatar a lot. I like Burning of Jinyi, like Combustible Gear Hull quite a bit. Crater Hellion. Oh boy, there's so many good ones. Duplicant. Firemaw Cavu. This card is really cool. So this has both an ETB and a leave play effect. So you can actually come into play, deal 2 to pick off something small, and then when it comes back, you deal 4 to another creature. And if you cast it, there's some cool tricks you can do with this, like ping it, hit itself, and then deal 4 to a creature in a pinch. So I don't know if it's too cute. I think Firemaw Cavu is awesome though. Inferno Titan I like a lot. I don't know if Pyrokinesis, maybe. We already have a lot of sweepers that don't cross this card disadvantage. I really like Steel Hellkite. I don't know if that card seems underrated to me. I like Wildfire. And I kind of like Wormcoil Engine because of the lifelink especially. And it is pretty castable. But I'm not 100% on it, so I'll leave it out for now. All right, now we're getting into the real high end here, 7 drops. So Angros Marauders. Wow, this has potential to just end the game, right? Because it's like 20 total power between itself and Ilharg if it's attacking, and they have no blockers. And Ilharg has Trample. This card is just like really fragile though, like if you aren't putting into play with Ilharg. So, oof, I don't know. Oh, there was one 6-drop I missed. Somebody suggested it and I forgot to put it in. What's the Hellkite that steals all the artifacts? It costs 6. It has like flying and trample. Hellkite, no. It's a Hellkite, I think, of some kind. Am I crazy? Isn't there one that costs 6 and you can steal all the artifacts when you hit them? Tyrant. Yeah, do we want to play Hellkite Tyrant? I kind of like that. Oh, man. Yep, Hellkite Tyrant. That's like so borderline. It's like so close to me wanting to play it. Just stealing all the artifacts is amazing. Angros Marauders is probably too amazing not to play. Oh, there's some cool cards that like deal damage to each other creature when they hit play. Like, oh, they're kind of like variations on Crater Hellion, like Chaos Maw. I think Chaos Maw is pretty sweet in this deck. Meteor Golem might be just too tiny. I quite like Mirror Battle Sphere. And I quite like, actually, Sandstone Oracle and Tyrant of Discord. You think Hellkite Tyrant is too narrow? Yeah. But when it's good, play this against Akiri. If you're not dead by the time. Okay, let's see. Do we want Sandstone Oracle or Tyrant of Discord? I feel like some of these are a little bit more safe in the terms of like compared to like Angros Marauders or something like that. Probably Tyrant of Discord I would play over Sandstone Oracle. I think this card is a little bit underrated. I think this card's quite strong. You can randomly wipe their whole board of non-lands if you get lucky. All right. I'll just leave them both out for now, though. I'm not 100%. Avatar of Slaughter. This card's too sweet not to play, I think. All right, we got the big boys. We got the big boys coming out. Oh man, I'm just in love with this Breaker of Armies suggestion. I don't know what to say. Like, am I crazy? Doesn't this card seem like super sweet? Just wipe all their untapped creatures. Especially if they leave something back to block Ilharg. I don't know. And then if you pull it off, maybe they don't die, but like they can't even play any more creatures because they just get swept up by the Breaker. I'm putting it in. I had Hearthcage Giant in here. I think it's kind of cool, but you don't need to go that deep. Sundering Titan for sure. Dragon Tyrant for sure. Now we're getting into the like uncastable range. Darksteel Colossus and Blightsteel Colossus. Do we want Darksteel and Blightsteel? I'm not sold on them, but like they are pretty good payoffs. Like that's a lot of damage. I probably would play. It's so hard to know like what the blocking situation is because like Infect. This is the only Infect card in the deck, and like I said, if they just have a 2 toughness creature, they can just effectively neuter that whole attack. You have to kill them on the next swing. Let's put Darksteel Colossus in though. Okay. We're actually pretty good here. I didn't add too many extra cards. So we only have 65 cards right now in our like cards we want to for sure play. That means it's still a few too many. Like we still got to cut some of these, but it's not quite as bad as I was maybe expecting. Let's just take another look through the list real quick in case we missed anything obvious. I didn't put a ton of like targeted burn, cheap targeted burn here because I'm kind of leaning on the Pyroclasm effects. I think that's okay. Let's look at our 2-drops. Yeah, I think I want to go toward the like heavy mountain, Valakut / extraplanar lens / ruination sort of thing. Sarkhan Fireblood. I don't think we have enough dragons to really make great use of that, unfortunately. Course of Portal might be interesting. Let's take a look at our number of rocks, too. Oh, let's count up our big boys, too. Volkotech said we needed, like, 12 or more to have a 75% chance of hitting it turn 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, well, we have 14, which is quite a few. Maybe we can even cut like a couple of those. What about some Grave Hate? Think that's necessary in Duel Commander meta right now? Maybe. I don't know if there's a really great one that's in red per se. Like some cards I like if they have other more flexibility, like Nihil Spellbomb draws a card. Rest in Peace has some combos with like Helm. But yeah, I don't know. All right, so I'm not going to add any more cards in because we're already a little over on time. So I'm going to just like cut everything that's left over in here. And I saved this, so we can refer to that later if we need to. But actually, let me shrink these down so I can do this all in one go. Okay. Scrabbling Claws, Relic of Progenitus is Charged Particle Gun. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess they draw a card too, but I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, maybe. If you draw them, we don't like have a Trinket Mage or anything to really find them, so you just have to get lucky to get that one piece of Grave Hate. All right. I didn't really do a huge analysis of the Mana Rock situation either, but I'm just gonna, in the interest of time, I'm gonna just call it good. So now, how many lands do we want to run? Let's move on to no, we want to. In the last part of these cuts is just getting these last few cards that we want to cut here. Let's look at how many lands. I think we need to run quite a few lands because Ilharg himself is expensive, and we have like 7 drops, 8 drops, 9 drops. My inclination would be at least 40, which is still, you still have the Mana Rocks to boost that a little bit, and you have cards like Ancient Tomb and City of Traders potentially. Maybe even like 41. I would say 41 lands. So that's sorry. What? 41 lands is 59 non-lands. 59 non-lands, and we had 65 cards, so we got to cut 6 cards. I think you want more than 38. I think 38 might not quite be enough. All right, 58 because you got to count the commander. So we got to cut 7 cards. See, how many rocks do we have? We have Cold Steel Heart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 rocks plus the Solemn Simulacrum and the extra planar lens. All right, well, you guys convinced me to go down to 40. I don't think I'd be comfortable going lower than 40 though. So I think that's 7. I think that means 7 cuts. Let's start at the high end. Do we need Darksteel Colossus? Because that card is pretty much uncastable. So it's a bit of a liability. Although we do still have like Through the Breach and Sneak Attack, which isn't terrible. I'll leave that one in. I kind of want to cut Angras Marauders. I mean, I don't really want to, but I think you could justifiably cut Angras Marauders. It's kind of like Avatar of Slaughter, but like doesn't give first strike to Ilharg. Yeah, no value. All right, we're gonna cut Angras Marauders. I guess 1. I gotta keep track of this. It's like 5 or 6 more cuts. We have quite a few 6 drops, but that's okay. Maybe we don't need Duplicant. Nah, you want to. Duplicant is a pretty sweet one to keep going in and out. I really like a lot of these 6 drops, to be honest. I don't know if I want to cut any of the 6 drops. 5 drops. Again, nah, Glorybringer is great. I don't want to cut Glorybringer. I kind of like all those. I have Goblin Dark Dwellers too, to get back like an Anger of the Gods or something. I don't know if we have enough colorless sources for Thought-Knot Seer, even though it's a really good card. Especially if we're running almost all basics. We have Worn Power Stone. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Okay, we have Worn Power Stone, Pristine Talisman. I mean, I could run more rocks that just produce colorless. All right, I'll just cut Thought-Knot Seer. The rest of these cards are pretty value-rific. Let's see as far as 3 drops go. Really hard. Trinisphere. I kind of want to try out Trinisphere, so I'm going to leave that one in. Warping Whale might be tough. I think this colorless is just too tough. We already cut that last one, Thought-Knot, so I'm going to cut Warping Whale. And then I like most of the rest of these cards. Hope you guys can see. Let's go back to our high end again. I think I could cut. You think to cut the Darksteel Volkatech? All right, we'll cut the Darksteel. I lost track of how many I needed now because I have these lands. Let's move them back over here real quick so I can count them up. 60. And then plus Ilharg. So I just need to cut one more card. Just need to cut one single solitary more card. What's it gonna be? Pseudoception. You don't like the Dragon Tyrant? Oh man, I think this card is just an easy one-shot kill. And I like that you can search it up with Sarkhan's Triumph. It's pretty great. Wait, where did Bogarden Hellkite go? I must have missed that. I think Bogarden Hellkite should be in the deck. I must have blew over that one. That's some value. A lot of 8 drops though. It's kind of awkward. I gotta cut 2 cards. I think I can cut a 6 drop maybe. Or maybe Chaos Maw, because Crater Hellion kind of does that. Or like maybe Combustible Gear Hulk. I don't know. It's a little random. Kind of get into the nitty gritty here. Open to suggestions. Hopefully you guys can see the list. Some cards I didn't really talk about too much. Goblin Chain Whirler, I think it's really good though for stabilizing. Gear Hulk is pretty good with the mana curve, but I am kind of loaded on 6s is the only thing. Like, do you think Gear Hulk's better than these other ones, like Burning Suns, Crater Hellion, Inferno Titan, and Steel Hellkite? Not sure about that. If I was playing the Duretti build, artifact build, I'd for sure play Combustible Gear Hulk, but I think I can afford to cut it here. Okay, I think we need one more cut here. Cut Sad Robot. No. You don't love the Steel Hellkite Voke attack? Maybe I'm just overly soft on this card. I think it's a great way to like wipe out either tokens, or other like problematic permanents like that mono red normally can't deal with. But I could see cutting it. If you guys want me to cut it, I'll cut it. It is also a dragon to search for Sarkhan's Triumph. Maybe the Sad Robot. Yeah. All right, let's cut Sad Robot. All right, we're good. All right, let's work on the mana base. Only 16 minutes over. Oops. Damn it, I lost my timer. Oh, you want to cut the 8 mana dragon? That's 10 mana. That's 10 mana, son. Dragon Tyrant's 10 mana. Oh man. You want to cut Dragon Tyrant? All right, you guys think I should cut Dragon Tyrant and put Sad Robot back in? We wanted to have like what 12 big boy payoffs here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 exactly. Let's just keep it as it is. All right, let's work on the mana base. I lost my Sad Robot over Dragon Tyrant. All right, maybe I'm outnumbered here. All right, I'll cut Dragon Tyrant. I'll put Solemn back in. Okay. 1 second, I just gotta get my hourglass back out. Let me just make sure this is... Oh, you guys can't see that anymore. All right, I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay, let's get about 5 minutes here for the mana base. This mana base should go really quickly because I think we're gonna do... I think most of us are in agreement that we're just gonna go... Why is this... Sorry, my computer's malfunctioning. We're gonna go like mostly basics, which is pretty cool. Okay, there we go. Do we count Chalice of the Void? All right, we'll do a final count at the end to make sure we have enough lands. All right, these are some lands that I just have in here that are like generally playable in like red decks, but I think we want to cut most of them. Do we want to play fetch lands for Scroll Rack? I think so. Let's get rid of City of Traders, Command Tower, Dust Bowl, Hall of the Bandit Lord, Mistress Factory, Mutavaults, Ramming Up Ruins, Port. I kind of like Scrying Sheets. Cavern Mountains, that's all you would play? Gotta play Wasteland. I would play Wasteland, in my opinion, like Wasteland, Valakut, Scrying Sheets, Cavern of Souls, Ancient Tomb. Ooh, Scavenger Grounds could be some grave hate that doesn't take up a card slot. I kind of like that. We're creeping into the... Actually, Scavenger Grounds is nice too because we can get it with Expedition Map. All right, that's a good concession. Spine Rock Knoll. No, I'm not going to cut Ancient Tomb, Charge Particle. I like Scavenger Grounds, actually. We don't really have a lot of graveyards or like any graveyard synergy ourselves. And we can get this with either Gamble or Expedition Map. Gemstone Caverns? Are you trolling me? Spine Rock Knoll. I think we're probably maxed out on our like colorless lands here. But I do like Valakut when I'm playing mostly mountains. And Scrying Sheets when I'm playing all snow-covered mountains, which of course I will be. All right, let's just add those and see where our final deck's looking. See if we counted correctly. Oh shit, we got to cut one more card. I miscounted by one. I think it was a Chalice of the Void tricked me, hiding over by my 0 drops. Spine Rock's not colorless, but we have quite a few cards. Well, not quite a few, but quite a few cards that penalize us for not having a ton of basics. Like we're playing Extraplanar Lens and Ruination. Gemstone Cavern. Yeah, but like Gemstone Cavern, well, I guess that's not terrible if you just draw it later. Valakut gets a little bit worse. Wouldn't you rather play like City of Traders over Gemstone Cavern though? Like if you had to play one of the two? Yeah, okay. You can play it in your version. All right, Sandstone Needle. The thing is, like, with some of these one-shot, like, you could play Crystal Vein, you could play Sandstone Needle, you could play Dwarven Ruins, but it's kind of like the rituals. Like, once you sack them, that's kind of it, and then how are you going to cast all your 6, 7, and 8 drops? So, personally, I think we're better off leaving it to, like, lands that produce multiple mana or rocks over time, over and over again. All right. Well, this is we just need to cut one more card from the main deck, and we kind of got our 12 big boys. We wanted to. I could see maybe cutting like Glorybringer, maybe like Siege Gang Commander. Probably Siege Gang Commander because, well, it's not. I mean, it's competing with Ilharg on the curve. And you already have like Pia and Kieran Nalaar earlier on. What do you guys think? Cut Siege Gang? Yeah, Sandstone Needle and Godo and like Crystal Vein and Godo, because you're just gonna win that same turn for sure. It's not so guaranteed with Ilharg. Alright, let's cut Glorybringer. So we'll preserve our synergy with Ilharg. Alright, and we have a deck. I gotta add one more Snow-Covered Mountain. Let's give this a final save, and I'll put it on tapped out in just a few minutes. X-Mage has the new version of X-Mage has this like export thing. Finally, it took forever. You can copy the list to the clipboard. I could probably just do this right now. Even you guys can take a look immediately, actually. So I'm gonna edit this, and you guys aren't seeing this because I'm in my Chrome window, but that's okay. Oops. I'm gonna edit that description later. Gotta keep Ilharg as our commander. Oh, that kind of disappeared. Oh well. The Raze-Boar, whatever that means. All right, I think that should work. There could be some other good Or the Spark cards too to add, like Nahab and all that stuff. Uncheck prototype, okay. Oh, I couldn't find... Oh, I misspelled it. Derp. Not the Raze-Boar. Alright. So, I think you guys should be able to check that link in the video description for the final version already. If not, I'll just paste it here in the chat. Boom. Take a look. Take a look at the glory. And I don't think this card is programmed on the beta server yet, but hopefully by like maybe next week. Hopefully by next week I can play either Ilharg or Tolsimir, one of the 2 decks we did Let's Brew for War of the Spark. I think I'll probably do about 2 of these sessions every time a new set comes out, assuming there's like good commanders, which the set has no shortage of. And then we'll get some games in live on stream, hopefully, with those decks in the following weeks. And one last reminder to, if you haven't already, follow my wife and I's new Twitch channel called Soulbond Magic. Did I even mention that before? We called it Soulbond because I think it was, for obvious reasons. But our little gimmick is our kind of couple dynamic. So hopefully that'll be kind of cute and something a little bit different, some draft and constructed. And she's going to be doing some segments where like help me beat my husband sort of thing, where you can help her construct a deck to defeat me. Hey, thanks, Charge Particle Gun. Yeah, so follow us on Twitch, and I'll see you guys next week. I'm also looking forward to seeing the Tolsimir deck in action. That was a really cool one. All right, I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.
Suck me in smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Filling the lungs inside you, and the blackened eyes make my way into your mind. Just to know what you need.